على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم نور بصائرنا بنور الإيمان واحفظنا وإياكم من الزلل والزيغ والعصيان واجعلنا وإياكم من الراشدين. Inshallah ta'ala, we continue today talking about a brief look into the lives of the four Imams of Fiqh, a brief glimpse at the lives of the four A'immah of Fiqh. And last week we spoke briefly about Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, Nu'man ibn Thabit rahimahullah ta'ala. So today inshallah ta'ala we will continue and we will speak briefly about the next Imam, who is Imam Malik, right? Imam Malik. And his name is Malik ibn Anas, right? Malik ibn Anas al-Asbahi. Right? And Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala, he is known as Imam Dar al-Hijrah. Imam Dar al-Hijrah. He is known as the Imam of the people of Medina. Right? He was born 93 after the Hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was born the 93rd year of the Hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a place called Wadi al-Qura, Wadi al-Qura, right, which is around between Khaybar, which is a bit north of Medina, not exactly in Medina, but a bit north. Malik ibn Anas al-Asbahi. He had his complexion, he had a white, fair complexion. He was a little bit red. He had a little bit of redness in his complexion. And some of the scholars, they compared him to the description that the Prophet ﷺ used to describe, how he used to describe his wife Aisha radiallahu anha. He used to call her Humayra, Humayra, which is ism tasghir of Ahmar, right? Ahmar, and not Himar, like what the Rawafid, may Allah give them what they deserve. They say that Humayra, the nickname that the Prophet ﷺ gave Aisha radiallahu anha, it means donkey, right? May Allah give them what they deserve. Right, and it's a description of Aisha radiallahu anha, how she had a rosy complexion. Likewise, Imam Malik ibn Anas, rahimahullah ta'ala, he had the same description of his complexion. And he was the muhaddith of Medina. He was the muhaddith and the scholar of al-Medina. Right, and he was the author of the Muwatta Malik. His book was called the Muwatta Malik. And Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he was from the first scholars that compiled a book of hadith. Right? His book was from the first books that was compiled regarding a hadith. Right? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in a hadith, خيركم قرني ثم الذين يلونكم ثم الذين يلونكم. Qarni in Arabic means like century, right? So Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he was still from the first century of Muslims. Imam Malik, and likewise Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahumullah ta'ala. They were from the first centuries. The Muslims from the first centuries. So he was born on the outskirts of Medina in the 93rd year of the Hijrah. Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, he grew up and he was born into a family that was well off. Right? Like Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. Abu Hanifa, we said last week that he was also very wealthy. So likewise, Imam Malik, he was also very wealthy. Right? He grew up in a relaxed and ease a place, right? It not necessarily was full of hardship. He was also like Abu Hanifa. He was also a trader, a merchant, right? He used to sell clothes also. He used to sell clothes and fabrics. And we'll get a little bit more in deep about Imam Malik regarding the clothes, right? Because he was so wealthy, he used to buy the best materials that he can afford. He didn't used to be stingy. Whatever his money can get, the best thing, he would buy that, and he would wear that, and he would go to the halaqah, to the masjid. He started learning Islam, he started seeking knowledge at a young age, right? In his early teens, 12, 13, 11, 12, 13 is when he started to seek knowledge. Right, his father, he used to say to him, actually his brother was known to be more knowledgeable when he was younger, when Imam Malik was younger. Right, and he was always known as his brother, as Imam Malik's brother. So his father would tell him, Imam Malik, when he was younger, he also had a hobby. Right? This hobby, it was like gathering pigeons. So he used to have pigeons, and he used to like take care of them and keep them in the yard. So his father would tell him, Imam Malik, if you didn't waste your time with these pigeons, maybe you would become like your brother. Maybe you'd become something like your brother, someone of knowledge. Right? And that left an impression. So from then on, Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala, he started to seek knowledge. Right? When he was young, 12, 13. Until he became 21. Once Imam Malik became 21, he started to teach the people. Right? He started to have lectures and muhadarat. Right? When he was 20 young, he got all the ijazas, all the asanid from his teachers, and he was given permission to teach to the people. Right? And that was the tradition in those days. Right? You learn, and then you get the permission from the teachers, and only then you're allowed to teach. Right? So when Imam Malik was 21 years old, he was teaching the people. Right? And he had his acceptance. Imam Malik, he had something called hayba. Right? There were other scholars in Medina, many other scholars. But Imam Malik, rahimahullah, he had this type of aura around him. This hayba, this presence, this authority. Right? When he would come to the class, and for example, he gave a fatwa, no one would go against him. Even if he didn't bring the hadith or the ayah from the Quran, no one would go against him. No one from the public. Also, no one from the government. Whatever Malik said, that went. Whatever he said went. He was well respected from most of the government officials. Well respected. Whatever he said, everyone did, including the government. Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala, he was known in his classes, in his durus, to be very strict, very firm. Right? He had everyone on lock, as they would say. Everyone was disciplined. So much so that only for Imam Malik, he actually had in his halaqah, he had some guards with him. He had some guards with him. And one time a person named Hisham ibn Amir, this person, he actually came from Dimashq, from Syria, from Damascus. Right? This person, his mother sent him to study under Imam Malik, specifically. And he was young, he was in his teens. Right? So he didn't know the rules and the discipline that was in the dars. So he went and he sat down and he did something. He did something wrong. So Imam Malik, he said, you, come. He said, you come. And he told the guards to take this person away. Right? And he had guards. There was also like a holding cell. Right? There was also a holding cell. And this was just for Imam Malik. So they took that person away and he was whipped 20 times. He was whipped 20 times. And he was young, so he cried, you know. But after that, you know, Imam Malik and Hisham ibn Ammar, that person, they had a close bond after that. Imam Malik, rahimahullah, when he used to come to the halaqat and the durus, he used to wear the best of clothes. Right? He was wealthy, so he would get the best clothes that he can get. He would look the best. Right? He would put that thobe on. He would use perfume. Right? He would comb his beard, comb his hair, look presentable. And he would even use bukhur, incense. Then he would come to the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. And even during the dars, he would have like bukhur. Right? And it was said to him, you know, a lot of the scholars, they have zuhud. Right? They just take what they need from the dunya. They're not like excessive in the worldly things. Imam Malik, he said, I do this for the love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Or how many of us, you know, when we come to the masjid, we just throw on whatever we have, you know, whether it has like holes on it, or rips or tears, or we don't necessarily, you know, smell great. You know, we're eating garlic, onions, right? Imam Malik rahimahullah, he would follow the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya bani Adam, akhudhu zinatakum inda kulli masjid. From among his influential teachers, rahimahullah, was Muhammad ibn Shihab al-Zuhri, rahimahullah. A great muhaddith. Right? And these people who are his teachers and students, they're great people from the tabi'een and the atba' al-tabi'een. Ayyub al-Sikhtiyani also. And many others. When the students of Imam Malik are brought up, it was said, La yu'ad. That his students, you can't count them. You can't count how many students he had. Right? It was said that from his students, there were 1,000 of them. 1,000 of his students were from the well-known scholars. Big, huge scholars. 1,000 of them. That was the impact that he had. Rahimahullah ta'ala. He, rahimahullah ta'ala, he lived during two dynasties, we can say, or two khilafas. The Khilafah al-Abbasiyya, the Khilafah al-Umayyah, and the Khilafah al-Abbasiyya. Right? During the time of the Khilafah al-Abbasiyya, the ruler was, his name was Harun al-Rashid. Right? Harun al-Rashid, and he was righteous. He heard of Imam Malik, rahimahullah, and during those times, the rulers, they were keen on getting knowledge, on seeking knowledge. Right? So he heard about Imam Malik, and he sent a messenger to Imam Malik. And this was in Iraq, actually, in Basra. So he sent a messenger and he told the messenger to tell Imam Malik, I want to read or I want to learn your book, Al-Muwatta, so come and teach me. Right? He said, come and teach me. So Imam Malik, he sent a messenger and he sent the messenger back. And he said, the message he sent was that knowledge, you come to knowledge. Knowledge doesn't come to you. So Harun al-Rashid, he got the message. He's like, okay, fair enough. Fair enough, I'll come. But only on one condition. Right? That we have a special class for the rulers. Right? We have a special class. Right? The rulers can't mix with the regular people, right? The rulers have like a status. So eventually he came to Medina. And Imam Malik rahimahullah, he said, if the knowledge is only for those people, the umara, the people, the political people, and it's separated from the regular people, then the knowledge won't benefit. So Harun al-Rashid, he agreed. He's like, okay, I'll sit with them. I'll sit with them. So Imam Malik, when he used to give his class, it used to be like an elevated position or like a chair or a bench. So the day comes, Harun al-Rashid is actually sitting on the same bench with Imam Malik. So Imam Malik, he had to tell him, when people seek knowledge, normally they're not on the same chair as the teacher, right? They humble themselves, they sit on the floor. So Harun al-Rashid, he's like, okay. So he eventually sat on the floor. Right? And this is a leader. This is a leader, not an everyday Joe. And Imam Malik, rahimahullah, he had a type of, not an attitude, but he had a temper. He had a little bit of a temper. So every day he would teach the students in the halaqah, he would teach them around 30 ahadith. 30 ahadith. And once the 30 ahadith is up, that's it. Nothing else. Right? Once those 30 is up, you gotta wait till the next day. So some of the people would come and they would try to ask Imam Malik, I want to read this on you. He'd be like, no. Sometimes it would be a little bit rude, right? Because he had an attitude. The scholars say that he got that from some of his teachers. From one of the famous students that Imam Malik had was Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah. Right? Imam Shafi'i, the founder of the Shafi'i madhab. Inshallah ta'ala we'll talk about him later on. Bi'idhnillah. Right? Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, he came to Medina when he was very young. Right? He came to Medina when he was very young and he already memorized the book of Imam Ahmad, the Muwatta. Right? He came to Medina and he read the whole book from memory to Imam Malik. And he was with Imam Malik for many years. And he says about Imam Malik, his teacher, إذا ذكر الأثر فمالك النجم. Says if hadith is mentioned, if the athar is mentioned, then Malik is a star. Malik is the star. He is top. Right? And during that time, during that time period, the scholars of hadith and fiqh, they never really brought together the knowledge of hadith and fiqh as much as it should have been. Well, not should have been. Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, for example, he was a scholar of fiqh, mostly fiqh, and that's what he excelled in. Right? He was top in fiqh. Imam Malik, he was mostly a muhaddith, right? He stuck to hadith. And Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, he was the one who bridged between those two knowledges, those two sciences. One day, someone came to Imam Malik from far away. Right? This story is very famous. Someone came to Imam Malik from far away. Right? They came to ask him some questions. And he only answered about 5 of the questions. They brought 40 questions, and he only answered about 5. So the person, he's like, what kind of scholar are you? Right? I came from far and I'm asking you something, and you're telling me, La adri, I don't know. I don't know. And the scholars, they said, saying La adri is half of knowledge. Right? Saying you don't know is half of knowledge. And how many people they're asked and they're asked, right? And they just say whatever with no knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you. You'll be responsible for what you tell the people. If these are scholars, if Imam Malik is saying La adri, what about me and you? What about me and you? Imam Malik rahimahullah, he also, like the other Imams, he went through a trial. But before we speak about that, there's something I forgot to mention. In the Ulum al-Hadith, the golden chain, the golden narration is Malik and Nafi'. So Nafi' was, he was a slave of Abdullah ibn Umar. So the golden chain, if there's a hadith and you see Malik and Nafi' and Ibn Umar, then there's no question asked. That is known as the golden chain. Al-silsila al-dhahabiyya. Right? Then there's no doubt that hadith is accepted. And during the time of Imam Malik, when he used to give the class, and we said he used to teach like 30 hadith to the people, in those times, the people didn't know how to read and write, right? They were illiterate. So how would they know what Imam Malik is talking about? How would they memorize it? How would they learn it? Right? The people would actually memorize it. The Arabs, they were illiterate, right? So they would memorize every single thing. They would memorize the hadith. Whatever Imam Malik rahimahullah would say, they would memorize it in one go. And we'll talk about this with Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, because he was known to have photographic memory, right? Imam Shafi'i. He would have to put one hand on the other page just for him not to memorize the other page. He would put one hand on this page to read the right side, so he doesn't memorize the left side. Rahimahullah ta'ala. Imam Malik, he had people that were jealous of him or that hated him. So what they did was they spread rumors about him to the Khalifa, to the government. Right? And the government, they whipped him. They took him to the jail and they whipped him. Rahimahullah. A person like Imam Malik. eventually they ended up tying him. They tied his right hand and his left hand. Right? And they tied it to a horse. So each hand had a horse. And the horse would run, and his shoulder, both shoulders were dislocated. Right? Both shoulders were dislocated, and some people say this is why in the Maliki madhab they pray without putting their hands on their chest. Right? Some of the Malikis, they put their hand on their sides. Some of them say it's because of this. Right? Allahu a'lam. Imam Malik rahimahullah, he died in the year 179. 179 after the hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we said that he was born the 93rd year of the hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That same year, the 93rd year, was the year that the helper of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu, he passed away that same year, 93, in year 93, radiallahu anhu. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to resurrect us with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions and these great Imams in Jannatul Firdaus al-A'la. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.